In the last few days, there were quite some discussions around the famous bank account example in event sourcing. And many people get this wrong. Either they are too simplistic, they have an event like money transferred, they have something like a source account, and they have something like a target account, and they transfer the money in one transaction, which would be nice, but it's not what happens in the real world. Or they do it too complicated, they have different aggregates, money transfers as an aggregate, flows, which is also too complicated. So how do you approach this? How do you model a system as easy as possible? How do you find the middle ground? Oftentimes it's just a good idea to show what happens, and that's all. So what we have here is we have a screen, and the user can open an account and we can give it an initial balance. So the first event we are talking about is account created with an initial balance. Now we have the possibility to display the account balance. So for this we have a read model here which just displays the account balance, and we have something like outstanding. You see in a second what outstanding means. Now what could happen is a user could decide, a logged in user could decide to send money to a target account. So transfer money between accounts. The first thing that will happen is we will have the command transfer money to the target account with the amount of 50. Of course, there will be many rules to check if this is even possible. Is there enough money in the account to do that? So the event we have here is money transfer requested. So we request a transfer of 50 euro or dollar or whatever to the target account 321. Until now, no money has been moved. It's just a request to transfer it. So this also allows us to display the outstanding balance, because if we have 100 euro in the account and we request to transfer 50, our balance is immediately reduced, and now we have outstanding or pending 50 euro. But how does the transfer happen now? Well, there is this automation here for transfer processing, which takes the open transfers. So we know all the transfers that are open, and if you look at this, what is the information that gets into the open transfers? This event takes the transfer received, transfer closed, and money transfer requested. So the first thing that happens is money transfer requested gives us a hint that there is something to do. So this automation here, whenever there is a money transfer requested, this automation here takes care of it and processes the transfer and moves the money to the target account. If that is successful, we have the transfer received, also just on the other account, could also be the other bank, right? The next thing that happens is we adjust the open transfers, because there are two flags in here, processed and closed, because if a transfer has been processed, we need to close it. There's another automation here which says close transfer if the transfer was successful. So we have another event here, transfer closed. This is how you move money between one account to another. I'm not a financial expert, but I guess technically it's basically what happens. Now, how do we validate that we modeled everything correctly? I use a prototype for this. So we can just use this model here and run it as a prototype, and we will see if we modeled everything correctly. Let's jump over here. Takes a second. So here's our first screen. Now, this is what we do. We open an account. We have our command here, create account, and we say we have an initial balance. Of course, the user wouldn't have put this in, and we have the account A. Now what we see is, we see our initial balance, so this is correct. The initial balance is 100, outstanding is 0. And we have the event here, account created. The next thing that happens is, we want to transfer money between accounts. So what we do here is, we say we want to transfer 50 to target account B from account A with a transaction ID 1. Now what we have here is, you see it on the right, money transfer requested. And we see the balance has been reduced by 50, and we have an outstanding balance of 50. So this transfer is currently in transit, it's in process. Now what we can do is, if we look at automations, we see the process transfer command here, which is the automation here. All right? So we want to process it. At the same time, we can look at the open transfers here. So there is one open transfer with $50 from account A to account B and transaction ID 1, which has not been processed. and is not closed. So if we look at that, so process the transfer, everything is pre-filled already, so we have the amount of 50 to account B, source account is A, transaction ID is 1. So this account has been processed. Looking at this processed account, it has now been processed. Now the only thing that needs to happen is here, for every open transfer that has been processed, we need to close this transfer. Basically commit the transaction, right? So if we go here, close the transfer, we can look at account A, close the transfer here, and now what we have is we have open transfers which have been processed and have been closed. So these transfers are done. So basically our model is correct. We can play through the whole use case here and see what happens. Of course, there are many things we need to add to this model, like error cases, what happens if the transfer doesn't work, we need to roll back and stuff. But this is the basic use case, and it's a very good approach to just look at what happens one step after the other. Don't overcomplicate it, keep it simple. This is oftentimes the best approach.